Exercise 2.6. The following relates to ultimate dealers for February 2025. Required 2.6.1. Taking the given trial balance, debtors list and creditors list into account. Open the account with the balances and totals on 1 February in the general ledger, debtors ledger and creditors ledger of ultimate dealers. Record the given transactions in the correct subsidiary journals. Post the transactions related to debtors and creditors on a daily basis to the personal accounts in the debtors and creditors ledger. 2.6.3. Close the subsidiary journals on 28 February and post them to the general ledger. And 2.6.4. Balance the ledger accounts properly on 28 February 2025 and prepare a trial balance and debtors list and credit list for 28 February 2025. So if we go to our given information, I'm given a trial balance with all my balance sheet account sections, opening balances, and all my nominal account sections, opening balances. So this will all be your balance brought forward in your general ledger on the next 3 pages. More additional information given is my debtors list and my creditors list. So this balance of 3,500 will be my opening balance for debtors control ledger account, and this balance of 38,438 will be my opening balance of my creditors control ledger account in my general ledger. Let's read through the transactions for February 2025. Number 2, the second, the owner in Goosen increased his capital with 21,000 Rand, receipt number 23. Number 4, made EFT 45 to A stores for settlement of their account. The 5th, paid 23 Rand out of petty cash for delivery costs, petty cash voucher number 11. Cash sales of merchandise 2250, calculate the markup percentage yourself. Received half of the amount by Z Mustard. On the 6th, bought the following on credit from Turon Limited: equipment 2789, trading stock 1567, and stationery 895. Invoice number 349 received from them was renumbered to number 67. On the 7th, made an ATM withdrawal to pay the wages of the week, 480. The owner took 12 Rand out of the petty cash for personal use. Sold goods on credit to R. Ruud for 900 Rand, invoice number 34. Then on the 8th, received goods back from Al Trump, 540 Rand, credit note number 13. On the 9th, paid DD suppliers via EFT for inventory bought, 4789. Bought a desk from Tehran Merchants, 5,600 and paid via EFT. On the 10th, stock 530 Rand and stationery 145 Rand, returned to Tehran Limited, debit note number 56. On the 11th, bought stationery from P&A and paid out of petty cash 45 Rand. On the 13th, received a credit invoice from Smith Merchants for the following purchases on credit: trading stock 11,333, stationery 231, equipment 890, and fuel 200 Rand. On the 16th, credit invoices issued for goods sold to Z Mustard, R. Ruud, Al Trump, after 20% trade discount was imposed. On the 18th, paid 12 Rand out of petty cash for the delivery of goods sold to Al Trump. This amount is to be added to his account. Bought an office chair on auction, 90 Rand, and paid out of petty cash. On the 19th, credit notes were issued to the following debtors regarding their returns: Mustard, Ruud, and Trump, after 20% trade discount imposed. Then on the 21st, cash sales of inventory according to the cash register roll, 23,100. Received the total amount owed by Ruud. Bought the following from SA stores and paid via EFT: merchandise, stationery, and packing material. Then on the 22nd, received a credit invoice from Ace Stores for stationery, packing material bought on credit from them. Buy inventory and packing material at Game and pay from out of petty cash. The 23rd, debit note returns issued to Smith's dealers for trading stock, stationery, and equipment. The 24th, cash sales of merchandise according to the cash register roll, after 8% cash discount. Issued a receipt to G. De Toy, who's renting an office from us, 3,600 Rand. Loaded an EFT to Smith dealers for 10,000 Rand as partial settlement of the account. Bought stock on credit from Tehran, 26,900, subject to 10% trade discount. Loaded an EFT in favor of the City of Tshwane to pay the water and electricity bill, 5670. Made an EFT payment to Telkom SA to pay the telephone account 1897. Made an ATM withdrawal to pay wages with cash 2,000 Rand. Paid 15 Rand out of petty cash for a worker who has washed the vehicle of the business. Received an EFT payment from Z Mustard 550 as partial payment of her account. Sold goods on credit to Rua 2640 and Trump 6885 on the 26th. Issued credit notes to Ruat for inventory return and Trump 1,890 for trade discount omitted. 27th, debit note issued to Deron for inventory 3,100 and stationery 78 Rand returned. 28th, made an ATM withdrawal to increase the cash flow to the cash register to 1,000 Rand. And then issued a petty cash voucher for 16 Rand to buy stationery from CNA. The owner made an EFT payment of 460 Rand to buy flowers for his wife from Bianca Flowers and made an ATM withdrawal to restore the petty cash impressed amount. Those are all the transactions. The next step I like to do is I like to check the number of journals that I need to complete. In this case, you've got to complete 7 journals. So this is where I'm going to get 7 different colors ready, either highlighters or pencils or pens, whichever you have. And then we're quickly going to determine which accounts goes to each journal using the different colors. Because then when we page to that journal, it's very easy to put it in date order and to quickly record it than having to go back, forth the whole time. This is a way that you can save time during your exams. So let's go look at the first transactions again. Starting from number 2. I have used the color red to quickly highlight all my cash receipts transactions. If you go and scan through, you will see entry number 2. On the 5th, there's 2 entries that goes to your cash receipts journal. On the 21st, there's 2 entries that goes to your cash receipts journal. On the 24th, there's 2 entries that goes to your CRJ, and then the last entry is on the 25th. Now let's use green for our next journal. The next journal will be our creditors journal. The second journal is our CJ journal, creditors journal, and I've chosen green. So if you go to your list of transactions, it's the one on the 6th, the 3rd, and the 13th. And also on the 24th. Now let's go and record our third journal, which will be our CAJ journal. I'm going to record that in yellow. The first CAJ entry is on the 10th, and then on the 23rd, and then the last one is on the 27th. Now let's go to our next journal, which is our CPJ journal. I will be choosing orange. The first CPA transaction is on the 4th, then the 7th, there's 2 on the 9th, then on the 21st, then on the 24th, the 25th, there's 3, the first 3, and then the 28th, and then also the last 2, the owner made an EFT for 460 to buy flowers, and an ATM withdrawal to restore the petty cash impressed amount. Now we've completed all our CPJ colored transactions. Let's now move to our next journal, which is the petty cash journal, and I'm going to use blue. So our petty cash journal transactions will be on the 5th, the 7th, the 11th, and both on the 18th, and then on the 22nd, the 25th, and the 28th. Now let's move on to our next journal, which will be the DJ journal. And I'm going to use color pink. And the transactions is on the 7th and on the 16th. And the last one is on the 25th. Our next journal that we're going to record is our DAJ journal. For the DAJ journal, I've decided to use purple, so the transactions are on the 8th and on the 19th and 26th. Now we've color-coded all our journals, so now we can just go into those transactions onto the answer sheet where our journals start. And our journal starts on page 66. Let me quickly show you more or less how the front of your question paper will look like. So when you go to transactions, you will now see that you've got lots of different colors, 7 in fact. So you will have a little colorful picture being represented in front of you, which will just make it easier. So all your transactions from the 2nd till the 28th have now been highlighted in different colors. So here's from the 2nd till the 21st. And then your transactions 22 to 28 also all color coded. So let's now go and complete our first journal, which is our cash receipts journal. Our cash receipts journal, we color coded red. So if you go back to your transactions, it was all the red highlighted transactions on the 2nd, the 5th, the 21st, the 24th, and the 25th. So let's go into the first transaction on the 2nd. It said, the owner in Goosen increased his capital with 21,000 Rand, receipt number 23. So we know our document number is number 23. Our details will be the name of the owner in Goosen. Because this is the only transaction on the 2nd, we will make a line under analysis and we will immediately go bank it. And since we don't have a column for capital, we're going to take it to our sundry accounts and our details will be capital. And remember, capital goes to B1. The next transaction is on the 5th. There was 2. The first one is cash sales of merchandise 2250. So whenever we deal with sales, we know we need to calculate cost of sales. So we know that our cost of sales formula is selling price times 100 divided by 100 plus your markup percentage. In this exercise, they did not give us the markup percentage, but they've given us enough information to calculate it. Now, to calculate your markup percentage, we use this formula. Markup equals sales minus debtors allowances to have our net sales, less cost of sales divided by cost of sales. So if you go to your opening balances given to you, sales is 458,700. Your debtors allowances is 8,700. If you subtract that from sales, you get your net sales. Then we're going to subtract 300,000, which is our cost of sales, and then we're going to divide that answer by 300,000, and we get a percentage of 50%. Now that we know our percentage, we can now calculate our cost of sales. So let's go and record it. So it's cash sales of merchandise. We know that it's CRR. Is our document number. The date is on the 5th. The details will be sales. In analysis of receipts, we'll have 2250. We're not going to put anything in bank yet because there is another transaction on the 5th. You only take the total for the day over to bank. So in our sales column, we've got 2250. And how do we calculate our cost of sales? We're going to say 2250 times our selling price times 100 divided by 150. So then we get our cost of sales is 1,500 Rand. Now let's go record our second transaction on the 5th. It says received half of the amount owed by Z Mustard. Z Mustard is debtor 1. So how will we calculate the amount? So we're going to go to our opening balances. Under the debtors list, you will see that Z Mustard owes 950 Rand. If he's going to pay us half, we divide that amount by 2. So we get 475 Rand as the amount that he is paying towards his debt. So our stock, and then it also says, well, we're going to follow on from our previous document number. So if our previous number was 23, we are now going to use document number 24. The day is still the 5th. Our details is Z Mustard. In analysis, we are going to put 475. In debtors control, we are going to pay 475, but 475 because Z Mustard is a debtor. Remember, he is debtor 1, so in folio you put D1. And now we can go bank it, because that's the last entry for the day. So we say 2250 plus 475 gives us a total of 2725 in bank. The next CRJ journal transaction was on the 21st. There was 2 transactions. The first one says cash sales of inventory to the cash register roll 23,100. So we know our document number is CRR. Our details will be sales. In analysis will be 23,100. Nothing in bank yet because we have another transaction on the 21st. Then we are going to say 23,100 under sales. And then we're going to calculate our cost of sales as 15,400 by using the formula selling price times 100 divided by 150. And then we get 15,400. The second transaction on the 21st says received the total amount owed by our root. So we're quickly going to have to do a calculation for our root. We're simply going to quickly scan up, and wherever we see the name our root, we're quickly going to get a balance for him. So we know that our root started with an opening balance of 1340. We get that from our debtors list on our transaction number 1 on our question paper. Then on the 7th, Ruud bought more on credit to the value of 900 Rand. On the 16th, he also purchased more on credit to the value of 3,900 Rand. So we're going to add that to his balance. And then on the 19th, he did a return of 390 Rand. So his outstanding balance up until the 21st is 5750. So we are going to say it's document number 25. We just follow on in numerical order from the previous one. This time it's our debtor our root. Our root is debtor 2. We will have 5750 in analysis. Now we can total our analysis column. 5750 plus 23,100, which will give us 28,850 in bank. And 5750 in debtors control. Transaction number 24. Is the next CRJ transaction. It reads, cash sales of merchandise according to the cash register roll 11730 after 8% discount was given. So we know that it's a CRR is our document number. It's going to be a sale, but this time we first have to record, we have a calculation that we need to perform. So let's go and do that. We're going to work backwards because remember our cost price must be before the discount. So if we have given an 8% discount, do you agree that 92% is what was paid? So 11730 divided by 92% means our original selling price was 12,750. That is the price before the discount. So now we can calculate our cost price as 12,750 times 100 over 150, and then we get 8,500 Rand as the cost price. The selling price that you're going to record is 11730. It is always the amount after the discount, so the price excluding discount. Under details, we will say sales. 11730 in analysis, 11730 in your sales column, and 8500 in your cost of sales column. The second transaction on the 24th is issue a receipt to G. DeToy, who is renting an office from us, 3,600 Rand. So it is going to be document number 26. Details is G. DeToy. 3,600 in my analysis. We do not have a column for rent income. So we are going to put it into our sundry accounts. Our details will be rent income, and rent income goes to N4. Now that we've completed the transactions for the 24th, we can now add 11730 and 3,600 together so that the total of 15,330 goes to our bank account. And now it's time to complete our last entry. It's our entry on the 25th. It says, received an EFT payment from Z Mustard 550 as partial payment of her account. Now we know that Z Mustard is debtor 1. We're receiving it directly from our bank statement. So our details will be bank statement. We will not have anything in analysis. The amount of 550 will go directly to our bank account. So 550 goes to bank. Our details is Z Mustard. It's debtor 1. And 550 goes to debtors control. We finally completed our CRJ journal. Now we just quickly need to tally up our bank, debtors control, sales, and cost of sales totals, because these are the totals that we will need to go and record our general ledger. When we add up our bank account, we got 68,455, and we know that goes to be 9 of our ledger. When we added up our debtors control, we got 6,775. That goes to be 7 of our ledger. When we tally sales, we got 37,080. That goes to N1 of our ledger account. Cost of sales is 25,400. That goes to 2 accounts. N2 is where you take your selling price, and B6 is where you take your trading stock is where you take your cost of sales price. And then when we add up our sundry amounts, we got 24,600. Now we've completed the CRJ. Now let's do our creditors journal.